And this is the Bitbox Leverless controller from Bitbox. And this is the Haute 42, the G13, if I'm not mistaken. And I wanted to pit these two against each other to see which one is more worth your hard-earned money. It's actually the Bitbox company. If you go to their Facebook page, they say that's a plane, sorry. They say they've suspended operations for a while. I don't know why. They don't mention exactly why they're suspending operations. But I got this for like $40. This one, borrowed from a friend, JM, for weeks now. Weeks on weeks and weeks. And it goes for, I think the cheapest one I found already has the top button here, around 4,000 pesos, so that around $80. Both pretty good price, but what actually separates them? So first, let's take a look at the Bitbox. For the Bitbox controller, let's talk about build quality. It's actually, for portability's sake, it's actually really light. Everything's made out of plastic. It actually feels like 3D printed plastic. Now, you know how 3D printed plastic kind of feels grainy? It feels like how it looks. Like if you could imagine how it feels just by looking at the graininess of the plastic, right? So that's how you think it'll feel, is exactly how it feels, which honestly I'm not a big fan of. So just in terms of the feel of it, the quality isn't great, but it is 3D printed, so you should be expecting that. The buttons themselves are very springy. You can actually hear the spring. And if you take out one of the buttons, which you should be able to do like so, you see the switch, the micro switch there. They're pretty easy to take off, but they don't pop out accidentally while you're in the middle of a game, which is good. In terms of layout, these are your direction buttons: left, down, right, up. 4 face buttons: square, square, X, triangle, circle, R1, R2, and if I'm not mistaken, these two would be the L1, L2. And then you've got, the thing is, you need a manual, so there's no labels on this thing. So if you need to figure out what these buttons do, you'd have to look at like your manual. So one of them's the joystick button, L3, R3, and select, start, menu options, that kind of thing. And I think one of my biggest complaints about it is that there is no tactile way to tell which one is which. It's not even labeled. So you just kind of have to know which one and develop like muscle memory. And even then, like, you end up pressing something else. And if you're like in the lab and you're doing combo practice or whatever, and I like to reset like a lot, especially if I'm doing combo practice or wall carry combo practice. Every time I mess up, I want to reset, and I reset a lot, and I end up pressing something else like all the time, and that frustrated the heck out of me. On the back, it's just a little bit of foam padding for your lap or whatever your surface, and this thing does a decent job of keeping it in place so it won't move around accidentally. You connect it to PC. You have a USB-C, which is good. That's essentially everything to know about this. It's kind of no frills, leverless controller. But I'm not really trying to sell you the benefits of a leverless controller, but Jesus Christ, like, electrics on this thing are almost 100% guaranteed if you're on the left side, because all you do is left, down, 2 at the same time. That's an electric. That's an electric. Doing it on the other side is a little bit more difficult because of, one, this is a weaker finger, and pressing this and this at the same time with 2 different hands is essentially just as difficult, I would say, as any other controller. Anyway, that's Bitbox. 2,000 pesos, $40, no frills, pretty light, bad plastic. This is the incredibly reflective Haute 42 G13, which my friend has lovingly put stickers in. And it is way heavier and way smaller than the Bitbox. So I'm bringing it back just for comparison's sake. That's like way smaller, right? And for scale, this is a standard DualSense controller. And I think there's a metal plate in there somewhere to act like a weight. And the weight actually gives it a nice feel to it, like nice quality feel. The switches are here and they're so easy to take off. And I think my biggest complaint about this would be that they do come off way too easy. So if you're pressing, and the worst thing you could do during a match, during like a rank match or whatever, is lose a button like that. And then you're scrambling for the button, trying to get it back, or do you just decide to play without the button? I hate it. I hate it so much. But you know, like the Bitbox Electrics, Wave Dashes, easier compared to controller, at least where I'm kind of used to. The miscellaneous buttons, let's see, touchpad, R3, L3, home, share, options, they're all clearly labeled. There is no tactile way to differentiate them, except for these two, I guess. These two are very different plastic, but for these four, they're the same. But at least they're separated enough that you won't make mistakes when resetting very often. Connectivity-wise, USB-C, USB-C, USB-A, which is cool. And this works on PS3, PS4, and PC. If you want it to work on a PS5, same with the Bitbox, you need a converter. So, and 4,000 pesos or 80 bucks, right? So, between the two, which one would I actually recommend? Honestly, it's in my experience. I have a friend who has the exact same controller, another friend, and he was just singing its praises. And he says this doesn't happen to him. It happens to me all the time on this unit. So I'm not sure if it's just because it's this unit specifically, but just for that, I wouldn't be able to recommend the Haute 42 over the Bitbox. There's no way, just because it disrupts play. Yeah, so essentially, that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.